actually the first law of motion in Sir Isaac Newton's account. Okay, so can I rub this? Okay. Do you want me to go faster? Okay. So we're done with Aristotle, but now we have to see that Aristotle was wrong. In fact, it's not called the law of motion by Aristotle. It was called the fallacy. I can write that down. Fallacy. It's called Aristotle's fallacy. Okay. Why is it called Aristotle's fallacy? That we'll figure out. Okay. So let's go to the laws of motion according to Newtonian, Sir Isaac Newton's, okay? Newtonian mechanics. Okay, laws of motion using Newtonian mechanics. 1. Not a fallacy, but there is a thing called inertia. That is all he's trying to say. I'll tell you the statement later. Inertia, what is that? Okay, that let's call it m. Okay, that such an m factor exists and is inversely proportional to what? You'll learn about proportionality and ratios a little later. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you already know. So inertia is m. M is the mass. So the bigger an object is, object size, this is a small object, this is a big object. So the small object will have less inertia than the bigger object. So if you propel or project an object, it's mass dependent on how fast it will go. Okay. So Aristotle, by Newton, by studying Aristotle, understood that. Okay, we'll say that. Next, the second one is the most famous. In fact, if you forget all the laws of motion and you just write for me the equation F is equal to ma, I will give you full marks, 100 out of 100 for physics. Okay, because F is equal to ma. What is it? F is force. Okay, m, inertial measure again, we'll call it mass. A is dv by dt, which we know is d square v by dt square. Okay. We don't have to write the d and all. This is, I think, Laplacian notation or something. Newton himself said, let's write it as, I'm sorry, did I say d square v by dt square? I mean to say d square x by dt square. So d square x by dt square we can just write as x dot dot, or we can write it as v dot, or we can just write it as a. Okay, following? Okay, take a break. F is equal to ma. That's the second equation. But please, that's not the law. If you want me to give you marks for the law high, then what I want you to tell me is F is proportional to dp by dt. F is proportional to dp by dt. Now what is p? I forgot to mention in the first law that what Aristotle was wrong about was this thing called mv, right? He thought this was force, but no, it's actually a thing which we denote as p. It's actually a thing called momentum. I can write that down. So momentum. Okay. Weird thing. I'm stopping this class to tell you a weird thing. So if by magic, okay, and during the motion of an object, if the object suddenly gains mass or loses mass, then the propulsion which it started with will also change. Okay, we can observe this by visualizing an auto that is being deconstructed as it goes on the road. Okay, so as it's getting deconstructed, the auto will actually go faster because it's losing parts, it's losing either. But next you're going to think, okay, the thing slows down. That is actually something called friction and resistance in motion. Okay, we'll learn about friction problems later on. I'll make videos on friction problems, don't worry about that. So F is proportional to dp by dt. Did you carry all that? Okay, and that this statement is here in this rational statement. The statement is Newton thinks the force is directly proportional to the rate of change of momentum. That is the statement. This is the symbolic representation of that statement. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Okay, next final law. If I can add together, I can do operations on forces. Operations on forces plus there is such a thing called parity of forces. Parity of forces. All this means is F is equal to minus F is the condition that the universe is trying to reach, which means the net F1 plus F2 is equal to, sorry, F1 is equal to minus F2. Okay, I'll tell you why. F1 plus F2 is equal to 0. It's a zero sum game. That's called parity. Okay, what is the game? Well, if I have a marker and I press the marker on my hand, it is not just the marker pressing upon my hand, it is my hand pressing